I remember laying in bed, and that's when it struck me. I could die here, and he may not find me for a few days. Lonely in Truth, I'm here with Deborah Lawrence again. I'm so excited for this one. Deborah, I have no idea what you're going to surprise me with this time.
I know I've not
So
told you what to talk about.
I'm so excited because you're a wealth of knowledge for us Cassandras. And ooh, so let's just dig in. Tell
Oh,
me.
hi Diana. Yeah, I've been looking forward to recording this one with you because it's one of the subjects that um, I really do go on about when I'm working in clinic with my Cassandras. It's very personal. This is why it is so important. Um, and we know that Cassandras are very resourceful, very able, very confident, capable women. And while you're well, everything ticks along nicely. So today I want to talk about when we're not well, when we're actually at our lowest and we're vulnerable. And it's something I see frequently with Cassandra's. And we know that as we live with the relationships, a lot of Cassandras suffer ill health with autoimmune conditions, with stress related conditions. And so while we're young, able, capable, and thriving, what I'm going to say probably won't seem as a problem, but it's a long term that I'm looking at with this subject. And it's a subject where older Cassandras come to me and say, well, I know he's on the spectrum. I know he's autistic. Is there any need for the diagnosis? And this is where I say yes, because you can be vulnerable. And I don't get it to begin with, so I explain further. And it's, have you got a partner that actually does see illness, does understand when you're suffering, has got that empathy? And if they have, all well and good, you can be safe. If the answer is no, how safe are we as we get older? And I say this, and I know a lot of Cassandra's, as a therapist, I'm not supposed to talk about my experiences and my life. I drip them in sometimes when I'm working. But I
Yeah.
know on these talks, the Cassandras do like to know my experiences, as I grew up with a mum that was on the autistic spectrum and had alexithymia and oppositional defiance disorders. Looked like, a very sweet, caring mom, but she had no empathy and was completely mind blind. So as we were growing up, if myself, my brother and sister were ill, it would be other family members or neighbours, and particularly my dad, that would see the illness and do a majority of the caring. Mum wouldn't understand medicines or drugs or anything. So it would be my dad that would come home to give us the lunchtime medicines and then some sweets because he was like that. and
Oh,
so it was very much as children, if we had rashes, if we had a cough, mum would see or hear our illnesses. If we were just with a fluey malaise or something, it didn't occur to her that we were ill. And it didn't occur to her that dad could ever be ill. So I'm talking to Cassandra's about when they are vulnerable. And we usually start off when the women are younger and they're saying things about their periods, maybe. And it's like, oh, he just leaves me alone if I've got a period. I'm all PMT-ish and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And that's his cue to go out, because he can't actually empathize, and, heaven forbid you should ask him to go and buy any sanitary products or anything like that. People get to know, oh, he doesn't do that. It's manageable and you can cope. The biggest shock usually comes a bit further into the relationship, when there's a pregnancy
mm,
and the partner is unable to actually engage or attach with what's happening with the pregnancy, possibly won't go to any of the uh, antenatal classes or clinics or anything. And so the Cassandra is starting to realize that there isn't that care and connection in the relationship. And then at possibly the birth, he's not there because it's not in his routine, or there's something really pressing at work. And again, the Cassandra's feeling neglected and let down. Um, and then when the baby's around and his routine doesn't change, there's instances where the baby's crying and he can't stand the noise. It's these sorts of instances where the wife or the partner is suddenly realizing there's something not right with this relationship. There's some connection that's missing. And this is where I say to the Cassandras, please make your family aware, make your GP and the medics and the midwives aware that because he's either diagnosed or you suspect he's on the spectrum, you're not getting the care and attention that you actually need. And as Cassandras, we don't like to bring to other people the attention of a deficit in our partner. So we can be defensive, we can be embarrassed, we can just make up that they're okay if anybody asks, whereas actually we know that we're being neglected. We might not have the words for it.
Right.
It's a situation where we're going, something's not right. We talked about it, but he's not there. What's going on? And of course, when you're young and you're busy and you've got family and everything's going on, it's something that's niggling in your head, but you might not have put it all together.
Right.
So it's these sort of instances that start off as anxieties for the Cassandras, but then they continue during the relationship. It might be that as you become incapacitated with certain illnesses or conditions, again, where is he? What's he doing? Is he actually at the hospital? And then quite a few Cassandras are realizing that there's an anxiety related to the illnesses or going to the hospital. I mean, there's phobias that are related to fear of hospitals and medics. So it might be that that's causing our partners not to be able to be there when other people expect it, and we expect it ourselves. So this sort of thing, it's like, yes, while everything's hunky-dory at home, you can manage. When you're ill, vulnerable, and unseen, that's where it's difficult. And it actually gets to a point where I'm saying to a lot of the wives, do you need to put a safeguarding list in place for yourself? If if you're older and you're infirm and you can't rely on your partner, are the medics aware? Is the family aware? What do you need to be able to be safeguarded in your own position? And again, we get to situations where the Cassandras are saying, well, it's okay, we'll manage somehow. And they haven't got a plan, but they're just on a wing and a prayer. And they're also terrified of things like professionals coming into the home. If he's a hoarder and there's a trip risk or a fire risk or that makes the family and the Cassandra at risk. How do you bring that forward? That's an awkward one to put people in. So we talk about these things, and the ideal situation would be that the house would be sorted, the house would get organized. But when you're incapacitated and you can't touch their things, what do you do? What do you do? So
I feel like you read my mind, right? Because I didn't know what we were going to talk about. And this is so true. I wanted to start, tears started to come because I have had ill health and I've had it throughout the years with this person in my house that absolutely doesn't see me or like I exist. That's what it feels like.
Absolutely.
And when there, you touched on so many things, being pregnant, being incapacitated, needing care at the home. I have what really completely detached me from my person forever, where we're just kind of living as roommates, was after a major surgery I had when he completely left me alone. I thought I was going to die by myself. And the issue with that is I did prepare, and I want your input on this. I prepared. I called a nurse. We were trying to get, well, you can stay in a hotel next to the hospital because the hospital was an hour away. It was a special hospital. You can do this and this. And then I was finally trying to explain how he is. And she said, well, we need to cancel your surgery. No, I need this surgery desperately. I am ill, very ill. So
But
then I was afraid. Then I didn't say anything. Then I was
yeah,
silenced.
it was the aftercare that they were concerned about. And of
Yep.
course, yes, yeah,
And he wouldn't allow anybody in the home. And then he and I want to say this lightly because I don't want to put him in a, I mean, he just didn't know. It's from what we talk about with the autism and alexithymia, which I feel he has. So somebody at his work that I had known said, please let me know if I can help her. He
mm,
never told me. He never said anything. It just kind of went, he was at work. He was doing work. I wasn't there. And I, bless him. He just can't do it. He's not capable. But I was silenced to get help. What do we do? That's what's scary. And again, I'm getting older and I am desperately, one of my biggest things is whenever we move and I get my own place, is that I find community, that I find, because I don't have kids or, so I already know that he absolutely won't be there. But I had to go through that almost, I felt I was going to die. I got COVID on top of my surgery, after my surgery. And I remember laying in bed, and that's when it struck me. I could die here, and he may not find me for a few days.
and that's exactly the right. Because with the mind blindness, they don't see things. They don't realize you're there needing some water,
Yeah,
needing
they just don't.
medicines, needing some help, and it does make it vulnerable. So I'm going to give a bit of a trigger warning to this one because the story I'm going to tell is the
Yeah.
absolute truth, but it's not one that I've ever told outside of the family.
Wow.
But it was when my parents, my father was still alive, and he was in his 70s, and he became desperately ill. And it was just by chance that I went round to my parents' home and my father was dying on the settee. He was literally dying. I could tell. And I said to Mum, oh, have you called the doctor? Have you called the ambulance? And she went, no, he's just sleeping. And it was like, oh my Lord. And I phoned for the ambulance instantly. Luckily, they were in the neighbourhood and an ambulance came so quickly. He was taken to hospital and he did survive, but they said he it was lucky he survived. He was on death's door. Mum had no awareness. She had no concept of the illness. And, we wonder now if he had have died, what would she have done? And we suspect nothing, and so 10 years later, when he was very ill and was dying, we did think, oh, she'll step up a bit now. No, hadn't got it. It was an inconvenience that he was going to the hospital. It was an inconvenience that she needed to be with him at the hospital because I was the one at the hospital with him and saying, you need to be there as well, Mum. And he
Mhm.
adored her, absolutely adored her, wanted her there, but she couldn't say. So, it is in these instances where you're thinking it's ordinary families, it's ordinary people.
Yeah.
And, my dad was hugely at risk. Luckily, it was picked up. And following his death, it became glaringly obvious that my mum was autistic. We didn't know before his death. because he cared and managed the situation.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. He took care of things.
absolutely everything. Yeah, and and she had no concept of people illnesses, and so it is a reality, one that you hope would never happen to you, and I hope it doesn't happen to other people, but that
Yeah.
is the severity of it. And when Mum was on her own and I became her primary carer, the surgery, the doctors, the medics, they were brilliant, because I would say she's on the spectrum, and they'd done their autism awareness training, and they could
Mm,
think about it, and so
mhm.
we could look after her in a way that she could never look after any of us. So, look at the family patterns, the family dynamics again. But please, please, just don't leave yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
It needs to be an open conversation. Medics
Mhm.
need to be aware, lawyers need to be aware, midwives need to be aware,
That's
everybody. This is our reality. And yeah, call us ableist and call us all the things that you want. But, if we're at risk, where do we go? What do we do?
exactly. Exactly. And there's no blame and shame in this. Your mom, as you say over and over again, I don't hear any hate there, which it could trigger to that. Well, she didn't care. She didn't. It's not about them being a bad person. It's them about having something that makes them incapable of doing these things that we just expect from people. We expect from people that we love. When they just can't, they just can't. And that's the heartbreaking part of it. And that when you get angry, you're not going to be able to solve things. You're not going to be able to you took care of her, even though, and I'm sure every time I do a video with you, people do want to hear about your mom. And I'm so glad you shared that, because you haven't shared it with anybody. And
Never,
I'm
never,
just it's
outside.
needed. It's
Yeah. And it's a
thank you.
start reality.
It
So,
is. It is. We have to really look at that aspect of it,
mm,
because it's our safety. If you didn't happen to be there,
yes, yeah.
and it's nobody's fault.
No, no, no. And that mind blindness is so real that, if an illness is not recognized, death is not recognized, dying is not recognized, you
Yeah.
know, it leaves us vulnerable. And it's also an aspect where the Cassandras are very mindful of having to stay for the children. It's like separating isn't an option because he has no awareness of how to keep the children safe, or if
Yes.
something happens, what would he do in a crisis?
Mhm.
We hear that quite a lot.
Right. Right.
So
So you have to
again,
stay.
but it's getting harder and harder to get diagnosis. We know that's the situation at the moment. But it's
Right.
one of the reasons I say, even if they're older, get the diagnosis for your safety.
That's the pivotal part of this, is that yes, you need a diagnosis, especially getting older.
Yeah.
Whew.
Especially as I've experienced in my family. My mum is now 98 years old and in a care home with advanced dementia. And we know there's a big link. There's lots of research going on currently about autism and dementia.
Oh my gosh.
Older Cassandras are looking out for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really important. I've been hearing that a lot too. I'm actually feeling like I'm seeing it in my partner a little bit, the forgetfulness and the kind of foggy, um, that's part of dementia, because my parents had it. I can kind of see it a lot,
Yeah.
maybe faster.
We talk a lot about, our partners and their health, and we have to look after them and be their eyes and ears in situations. But when it comes to us, who's looking out for us?
You know, because it's a full-time job to figure things out with them all the time. So
Yeah,
we just automatically, it's not like we don't want to take care of ourselves. I said myself, because I'm not taking care of myself lately.
yeah. And
Um,
so many Cassandras don't, because they're having to do
you
all this
just don't have
overthink.
time.
for themselves, for their partner, for their family, for the children, for the work and everything. It's like
Yeah.
double exhaustion.
I
Mm.
hear that all the time. It's like, okay, you tell me to self-care, self-care, self. When do I have time for that?
Yeah,
And at this point, I don't even know what self-care is
yeah.
because everything I do, I don't have enough time for to actually just really
And
relax and breathe.
and that's very often where I start working with Cassandra, because it's like, what is self-care to you? What does self-love look like? And you can just see this dull sort of, I don't know what words you're saying to me. I don't know what that
Oh
means.
God.
And it's
Mm,
like, yeah, we need to think about this because it's
mhm.
vital to us. Really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We put it out to everybody else. You know,
Yeah.
in caring professions, in our neighborhoods, in our families.
Oh
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
we're brilliant at putting it out. Bring
Not
it
putting it in. Yeah.
back. I'll do that.
And I was trying to fight against that, thinking, well, no, I've always taken care of myself, and I've always kind of been on that side of help me. I want to get better. I get counseling. I do all those things, but I didn't realize, like, I haven't dig deep into really is what healthy for me. And it's funny. Before I met him, I did all the diets, the nutrition, because I have chronic pain. I did everything just, I was very healthy. Now I'm on all these pharmaceutical, not a lot because I'm very sensitive to meds, but I'm not as natural eating like I used to be and as healthy as I used because I don't feel I can do it. But I did it for years when
What happened to
so
me?
then what
Yeah.
happened to me, even though I feel like I'm taking care of myself, I'm really not.
Mm,
Because when you're spending 80, 90% on him, every time I have my counselor appointment every week, we always talk about him 90%. And then right when I'm ready to say, oh, let's talk about my dad and what happened, it time's up
yeah. Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out the week just to survive the next day.
Within the
It's
chaos.
really, it's just, and so then we come back to, okay, what do we do? And what do we do when, for me, I've chosen to stay because I can live separately, which I'm working on desperately to do. Otherwise, I know that I can't survive this. I know that I have to get out because I just don't have family. So that's my own personal. But what about somebody who is stuck? And I know that you talk to these women all the time, and I think it might come down to just maintenance. What do you think? How do you stay in these relationships and be well?
It is management. It's
Yeah,
managing the
it's
situation.
constant.
But and this is where so many Cassandras are so intuitive in knowing what everybody needs except themselves. And
Yeah.
you know, I can do this, I can go there, I can arrange for this appointment, I can write this report that's necessary. You know, it's almost like put that effort into yourself just one day. Just what is your long-term strategy
Yeah.
for you being well long term? Yeah.
Mm. When I think about, okay, we talk about journaling, we talk about meditation, we talk about getting your nails done, we talk about all these things and I think it's really important that your mind understands that it's not you. I think that's the biggest thing because I can still fall into that trap after all I've done, two books, you just feel like I can still fall into the trap where I'm hoping he's going to get it. That
Yeah.
false hope is poisonous,
All
I
the time,
feel.
all the time. And it is the story we tell ourselves in our heads. You know, what is our self-talk? You know, is it, somebody from our past berating us, putting us down, calling us silly, calling us stupid, even his voice, criticizing us, till you get again to the point of cognitive dissonance. You don't know which is the real you. The
Yeah,
one where your teachers were going, Diana, that was brilliant. You're really good at this. Or his voice going, well, I don't know why you're doing that. Well, that's a waste of time.
you're
Which
right.
voice in your head?
Yes, yes. And his voice gets stuck in there because it's so pronounced.
Yeah.
It's so extreme. He is so explosive over the tiniest things.
We're on eggshells because we're trying
Yeah,
to stop that all the time.
yeah, yeah.
We're predicting when that's going to happen. Right, if I've
Right,
got all this settled before he comes home,
right,
if I put that thermostat down just a little bit so he knows I
right.
haven't had it up during the day,
Yeah.
it's work just to
And,
be.
I do want to come back to pregnancy, because you did mention that right in the beginning. Going back to where you need help from outside people, because he's just not going to do it for you. Could we just talk a little more about that?
There's so many incidents. It depends on the partner's abilities or interests, because so many fathers, that I hear about, don't actually realise that the baby actually needs the mother as much as it does. It's like, well, you've fed it, it's going to sleep, you become you again. Where's my wife? What do you mean you're tired? What do you mean don't touch you because you're lactating and feeling a bit fragile? It's almost like they can't um, perceive a change in their wife, their partner. It's like, who have you become? And there's a lot on the extreme narcissist side that can't accept that a child is taking away the mother's attention. That happens an awful lot. It's like, well, why aren't you doing this for me? It's only a baby, and
Yeah, yeah,
horrible
yeah.
comments like that,
And
and
just to emphasize, these are the autistic men, but have the narcissistic traits. That's
yeah.
definitely there
And,
too. But
and then,
yeah,
of course, there's the wonderful fathers that absolutely adore their babies and they have done all the research and they have read all the books and they do know what to do and they do know what to look after the mom, and that's become a special interest and they've become great fathers because they've got
uh,
the interest. I hear about them as well,
wow.
but she's probably not Cassandra as much as the ones.
So I'm glad you said that, because I was talking about the in between the other day, that we're in between the really extreme abusive physically, mentally, and the really kind of difficult autistic relationship. We're in the middle. We kind of have a little bit of both.
Yes.
Is
And of
it, would you
course,
agree that
yeah,
that's a Cassandra? That's safe to
because
say we're Cassandras.
it's like neurotypicals,
Yeah,
some some of us, on one extreme, some of us are on the other
right.
extreme. So, we're not all the same. So of course,
Yeah.
autism's exactly the same. No two people are the same.
No.
You met one person, you met one
You met
person.
one person, I know. And it's that used to bother me. It's so funny before I understood, but it's so true.
Mm.
Just like it's kind of like we're in this whole different world, the neurodiverse relationship and the regular relationship. They have their three sides, and we have our three sides.
We can't generalize all Cassandra's experience the same thing
You
because
know,
all the partners are different. They might
yeah,
all have the same traits of high functioning autism.
right. That's
It can
similar.
be free, yeah, we
Yeah,
get that. But, in everyday living can be very different. And of
yeah,
course, it changes with age.
it does. Oh, that's a whole nother video, isn't it?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's funny that the similarities that I've seen, like I'll talk to a Cassandra and I'll say, he has to have every door open in the house. And she says, mine too.
Mm,
So that kind of thing where it's similar, but we're talking about personality. We're talking about traits that can be, they're all different. And
yeah.
yeah, so that's what's
The hospital staff and the professionals that we work with, they may have done the autistic awareness courses, and they dim the lights because they think, oh, it's all going to be flashy and cause irritation.
uh,
But you might go, that's not mine. He doesn't mind that.
he
So
just doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't, there's no general, and especially where mine is more he has the alexithymia, of course, and he's just more intense, where I have had to excuse his behavior. I've heard this a lot from Cassandra's too, and this is we could go on topic after topic, so I'll keep this short, but I would have to excuse him. And I do remember when I had that major surgery and he was about to pick me up, one of the nurses, I said, you have to have me ready. You know how it takes forever to get discharged and you just have to wait. I said, to help my stress and his, please, he is autistic. You have to have me ready when you tell him to come. Have you called him yet? Here I am in so much pain and I'm having to do this, which is annoying. But she was also autistic. And I didn't realize that. I happened to see a tag where she says, "My special interest are my patients," and so she understood and she had me ready to go and she was like desperate to get because she was just really compassionate about it. And now that was, I get such chills when I talk about that because that really helped where I didn't have to explain anymore because I was in so much pain. But, I do have to excuse some behaviors or nurses have just gotten furious with him. And because he just gets angry, doesn't, he's very defiant against any authority, but again, I won't, that's another,
No, I mean,
won't go off on that, but
I've
it's
heard lots of stories like that. When the
really,
women giving birth, and the midwives are saying, right, you need to hold her hand now, and he's gone, oh, well, it's 11 o'clock, so I need to go for my coffee now, and it's like, what? They're sort of looking a bit wide-eyed, and it's like
yeah,
it's a routine he's going to stick to, and
yeah. They just don't, and that's why we need more awareness. But it is kind of it's such a spectrum. It's hard to know, but and it's
yeah.
okay to be angry with them too. I mean, come on, you're gonna go get coffee right when
if you
your
if you suppress
wife's in
anger,
child.
yeah. I mean, if you suppress the anger, it's the
That's
only
not
person.
good either. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's amount of understanding, but and there's some times where they just are being a jerk.
Oh,
You
yes.
know, they
Yeah.
are still human beings that are good. I've been a jerk, but
I mean,
I
we're not perfect. Whoops, we've done something too.
I know. Oh my gosh. It's just wild. What a time. This is the timing on this is so brilliant.
So
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
just so
I,
as other Cassandras can really think about it. Even if it's not today that they're worried about, maybe another time, and they go, oh, I should think about some safeguarding in place, and talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk
yes.
to your support team. It's it's needed, needed.
And I want to mention this. I talked about how I felt silenced because I didn't want my surgery to be canceled.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know how to handle it better now. Um, and I think there's more awareness on autism as we go each day. Also, since we're talking about being older, getting the diagnosis being important, is that I did have a situation where because I'm not married
Mm.
and he does help me financially. So not only physical, that's a financial aspect. Even if
Yeah,
you're married too, they may not have you in the will. He
yeah.
has his only blood family. I was not there at all. And it wasn't that he did it maliciously. He just said, well, they're blood family. Well, they're family. So that's what I'm supposed to do. And I said, no, actually,
That's
you
an
need to
interesting.
take care of me.
Yeah, no, it's
And
interesting to just bring that up because every day on the UK site, I do a different meme and a quote or something. And today's I did about financial coercive control, and of course the conversation going. So really, that's a whole different subject that I'd love to. Uh,
let's do our next video on that, I think. And I just want to say for my birthday, I said, you're taking me to your financial advisor. And we had the meeting. It went terrible. I sat in my car and you know what I did? I got out of my car. We took separate cars. I got out of my car. I marched right back to that financial advisor. Even though I wasn't on anything, I said, I absolutely need to talk to you. And he listened and he said, I think I'm on the spectrum. And I just told him, I know it was wild. And so now every time we see the financial advisor, because he forgets to see him, so I make it happen. I do it for my birthday. It's
yeah,
my best present.
yeah.
And I talk to him, and we kind of have this understanding. He'll look at me like, okay, but he
Did you
has to do what he says because his name's on there. But he has helped me so much just because I shared it. I went and just spoke up because he could have just said, I can't talk to you,
exactly? Yeah.
but you just have to do it and see what happens.
And because
I wanted to add that.
financial coercive control is so important in the divorces now, it is a big subject. So yeah, let's do a whole.
Yes. So next time we'll do one.
I'll leave you to your day.
Okay.
All right, look after yourself and
Okay. Bye. You too.
luck with the book.
Bye.
Bye now. Bye.